All right. So in today's session, we are going to talk about the listening sections. And as you already know, let me just give you a brief breakdown of the listening section. It is divided into 4 parts, and each part will contain 10 questions. Now, coming to the kind of IELTS that you opt for, be it academic or general, the pattern of the listening section remains constant. However, if you go for computer-based test, that is CBT, and you opt for typing your answers on the computer, then you will not get any extra time. But if you go for pen and paper, then just you get 10 minutes more to write down, like to transfer your answers to the main answer sheet. That's the primary and the only difference between pen and paper and computer based. Rest, the pattern of the test, the kind of difficulty level, all of that remains constant. And also in the listening section, as you proceed from first part to the next one, the difficulty level also increases similarly. And you already know that the accents will not be limited to just one kind. You will have multiple accents. Apart from that, the speed of this, like not actually the speed, but the difficulty or the intensity of the audio will keep on increasing as you proceed from one part to the other. Having said that, it's not a difficult test. And apart from that, what something that I find extremely easy in the listening section is the fact that every answer or every question or the audio will give you the answer to the question in a very serial, wise manner. So you just have to read the questions, and with the flow, you will get the answer. So it is one after the other. It follows a chain. And apart from that, you should be also aware about this fact that once the audio commences, this as soon as the audio begins, you will not have the prerogative to stop the audio or like repeat the audio or play it again or like press forward or press backward. All of this will not be under your control. What will definitely be under your control is when they start playing the audio, before that, they give you so there's this testing system, something like that, and you have to play and you have to make sure that are you able to hear the audio or not. At that moment, if they play the audio for you and you're unable to like listen to anything, then you at that particular point in time you will have to raise your concern, and they might give you another, like they might allot you to a different screen or something like that. But apart from that, that's the only control that you have. Apart from that, as soon as the audio starts, so does your exam, and you will not really have any control over controlling the audio or increasing or decreasing the voice the moment the exam begins. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. As soon as you are required to test the audio, to test the speaker or something, you have to make sure that you are able to listen to it properly. And most probably you will be able to, because they give you like noise cancelling earphones. And then as soon as the test begins, then you have no control. All right. Now coming to the main topic of today's session is distractor. So, distractor is basically the extra information that has nothing to do with your answers, but it is unnecessarily like thrown in between the audio just to confuse you with the wrong answer. So, whenever it's a distractor, first the examiner is going to call it out. Like, for example, the examiner might say, "Oh, we are going on a vacation on the 24th." Then it would be like, oh no, actually, initially it was 24th, now it's 25th. So this is basically a distractor. Or let's say two people are talking, and one first person says, do you live on the ring road? And the spelling, is it RIN? So the other person would say, no, it's not RIN, it's RING. So the answer will again change from RIN to RING. This is just an example. So these are all distractors. They are actually a kind of trap. They want to basically confuse you the wrong answer as the right one, and they basically want to test you on your ability to focus on the key details and can you actually filter out the irrelevant or misleading information or not. So that's the primary motive of the distractors, and that's the reason why there's going to be plenty of distractors in the third part of the listening section, when there is like either there will be some kind of a self correction or it's going to be a direct distractor. So you have to be vigilant. You will have to listen to the audio very clearly, and you will have to make up your mind whether it is a distractor or is this the final answer. That is something that you will have to look out for. And how can we exactly do that is what we're going to discuss today. So let's move on. I hope you now understand what is a
Ma'am,
distractor.
I have a question. Like,
Yes.
in this audio section, when they will talk about any name, like road, name of a road or name of someone, will they always decode it with the letters or like pronounce it like it is FOGG, that kind of thing, or I always need to predict the answer?
See, the thing is, if it's going to be a name of a place or a person or something, most probably they're going to repeat the audio. So they're going to tell you the spelling. This actually happens. Even if it is a number, they repeat it once more. If it is just some basic information, then it will not be repeated. However, if it's, let's say, a name of a place, or if it is a difficult spelling, they actually repeat it. So,
So actually,
yes.
I was practicing from an app. So there was the name of a street, and because of the accent, I couldn't get it. And but when I was practicing from YouTube videos, I can easily do that. That's why I asked it.
See, actually, at some particular places, they make the examination extremely difficult. However, the real test is not as difficult as there are in some mock test or something. But rest assured, if it is going to be a name of something which is very difficult, or if it is a name which is a little confusing, they will actually repeat it. They will use it as a distractor. So one person would say, "Is it let's say is it Eiffel Tower?" And then the spelling would be, yes, it is Eiffel Tower, and the spelling is this, and then that would be the correct answer. Most, if it is a difficult name, it will be repeated in terms of spelling, so don't worry. Maybe from where you're practicing, it's not an authentic source, but like history tells it, if it is a difficult pronunciation or a difficult spelling, they repeat it.
Actually,
They,
my
they actually
friend
say the
went to
whole
the test.
they actually
Yes,
say the whole sorry, sorry, they actually say the whole word na,
yes,
the
they
whole
do.
word letter by letter they say, right? And
They do.
suppose they also, I have found one or two things where they say this is okay, I don't go here but I go here, something like this. May they contrast things, right?
Maybe you're talking about the map-based questions where they actually say, don't
uh,
take the first
yeah.
left, take the second left.
First,
Yes.
second, that is actually the most difficult part. And
Yeah, it is.
how to solve that multiple choice answers there.
See, if you're specifically talking about, let's say, the map-based question, they will say it like, don't take the first road, take the second one. So you will have to listen out for words like don't, but, however, because if these sentences or if these words are there in the sentence, the answer will change. And for multiple choice of questions, what you can do is, because they give you some time to read the question beforehand, so what you can do is first read all the options, and then once the audio begins, either it is going to give you the correct answer at once, so the first answer would be the correct one, or there will be an incorrect answer and then the correct answer. So but the options, the number of the options will be followed. So if let's say first option is there, the audio will announce the first option, then it will move to the next one if it is not the correct one. So the only thing that you have to do is you will have to make yourself familiar with the options, and then see if the audio is itself eliminating the option. If the audio has eliminated the option, you can put a cross, and then you move on to the next one, because again, it is all followed in order. So even if you're listening to the audio and the audio has eliminated one answer, eliminate the answer yourself as well. This is the only thing that you can do. So I hope that answers your question. And also look out for words like initially, but, however, having said that, because with this, the answer will change, and that is actually a kind of a distractor. So these are certain things that you can use. And for map based, when they give you the time to read the map, always make sure that places that are already given in the map, you are familiar with it, because throughout the map, they are going to use references from the places that are already mentioned, and it will be easier for you to know whether these places are, and also know the direction, not in terms of just southeast, but also where is northeast, where is southwest, so that when they use these directions, you know where exactly they lie. So that's the reason why it is told that as soon as you get a map based question, you draw your own little compass somewhere on the screen or on the sheet. So these are certain things that you can do. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Now, coming to the next one. Again, in the listening section, it's not really difficult because everything will follow an order. Even in the multiple choice question, if there are four options, four out of four, the four, every answer will be like spoken out aloud in order. So if you see that, okay, first they spoke about the first option, but they are actually coming to the next one also. So that means the first answer was not correct, because as soon as you get the answer, as soon as the speaker announces the correct option, they always move to the next question, because again it is all time bounded. So what is important here for you is, ek to you should be able to read all the options, and also try learning the elimination method, where if the audio or if the speaker in the audio has eliminated first option, you do that yourself also, so that you avoid confusion. So this was my bit on how to do these questions. Now, apart from that, ठीक है, I think we have already discussed about what is a distractor. It is a piece of information that presumptuously it sounds like the correct answer, but it is not. So you will have to identify whether it's a distractor or is it the plain answer. Now, we've already discussed what's the reason behind having a distractor. So let's move forward. So here. So, if it is a distraction, it comes in multiple forms. The first one is incorrect information. It's going to be a plain incorrect information. So, for example, over here, if we look at the question, what kind of pet did Sarah get? Okay. Now, there is this speaker one and speaker two conversation. So, probably this is from the first part. So, speaker one says, hey, did you hear about Sarah's new pet? Speaker two says, no, what kind of a pet did she get? Speaker one says, she got a cat, but not just any cat, she got a Siamese cat. Wow, that's interesting. I thought she was going to get a dog. Now she got a Siamese cat, but initially she was planning to get a dog. Here you might get confused between, okay, fine, was it a cat or a dog? That's the reason why you need to read, you need to like listen to the audio carefully. She was like, here the speaker says, I thought she was going to get a dog. So that means the speaker is not sure. It was just an idea what he thought was correct. So this again, she was going to get a dog is incorrect information, and also an irrelevant information which was not needed. So the distractor will come in the form of incorrect option. The next is irrelevant information. Again, irrelevant information are the details that have no connection with the answer or the audio, and it is simply done to give you to sort of derail you from the actual answer. For example, over here, what color scheme is speaker one considering for redecorating the living room? So the speaker one says, I'm thinking about redecorating my living room. Speaker two says, that's a great idea. Have you decided on the color scheme? So speaker one says, not yet, but I'm leaning towards shade of blue and gray. Okay. Now that sounds lovely. You should consider adding some more indoor plants to liven up the space. Now the thing is, if you look at the speaker two at the second last moment, the information over here that you should add some indoor plants to liven up the space is irrelevant information altogether, because they were talking about the color scheme. So it should be any other color apart from blue or gray if the speaker two wanted to suggest something. But having said that, this particular information is completely not needed. And that's the reason, if you will listen to let's say you've been listening to this audio, but at the moment you lost track. Now, when you will listen about these plants, you would feel, okay, there was no need of this information. Now, have I actually lost the answer? But the answer was almost just a moment ago given. So that's the reason why, if you do not listen to the audio carefully, chances are you will miss out on the correct information. And that's the reason why it's very important to not get misled by the distractor, and also to pay attention on the information. And there's one more thing which is very prevalent. At times, what will happen, let's say you're listening to the audio and you got the answers very swiftly. But at times, this will also happen that you're listening to the audio, you're waiting for your answer, but you will not get the answer as soon. So what you need to do is, if you are listening to the audio carefully, even if it is taking some time to even if it is taking some time to like announce the audio, or to announce the answer, if you're listening to the audio carefully, it's fine. if you did not get the answer as swift, because this is again a kind of distractor. At times they will bore you out with extra information, but you will have to pay attention to only the questions that there are, like the 10 questions in each part. And the moment you get your answer, you will have to move swiftly to the next question. So the first one was the irrelevant information. The next one was again the incorrect information. Now, coming to the next one, these are similar sounding words. Words that, like, if I say 50, sometimes the test taker might confuse 50 as 15. So this will again be an incorrect information, or the words that sound very similar, or there are numbers that sound very like close, like 13 and 30. If I say 13, so sometimes it might sound confusing if it is 13 or 30. But most of the time, if you get confused, the audio will in itself rectify the answer. It's just that you will have to listen to it very carefully. Let us take an example. The woman ordered dash dresses. Okay. So the man says, "Hi, I'm calling to inform a delivery of 50 dresses to my apartment in Lovelock." Woman says, "I see. Let me have a look. Oh, we only have one order of Lovelock, sir, and it's for 15 dresses, not 50." So if you got confused between 15 and 50, you might write over there 50, and that would be an incorrect answer because the correct one is 15, right? So sometimes, if it is the wrong answer, the audio will self-rectify it. For example, over here, if you see, the man says, yes, did I say 50? Sorry, I meant 15. It's 15 shirts. So if you're not listening to it properly, or if you've just not, paid attention, then of course there are chances are very high that you might write the incorrect information. But if you're paying attention, you will not get derailed. So that was another kind of distractor. The next one is partially correct information. Partially correct information are those kinds of information that is half correct, right? For example, let's say the question says the speakers are going to, or the friends are going to meet at 4 p.m. on Thursday. And they say that the conversation is transpiring, and the person says, "Oh, we are meeting at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, right?" So again, the 4 p.m. is the correct answer, but the day of the week is incorrect. So you will have to listen to again the audio very carefully, and not only to the audio. When you are given the time to read the question, make sure you're not just simply reading, you are also marking the keywords. For example, in the last one, the number of the dresses was the key highlight, right? So you have to make sure that you are familiar with the question. Now, coming to the partially correct information, sometimes distractors contain elements of truth mixed with false information. Test takers needs to test takers needs to carefully evaluate each opinion to determine its accuracy. Now, let's say the question is, what did the speaker buy at the grocery store? So, speaker says, "I decided to buy some fruits from the store. However, due to high price, I decided only to buy apples." So now if you see over here that initially the speaker wanted to buy multiple fruits, right? But because there was some high price, the speaker ended up buying only apple, which is not like different kind of fruits, but it was just one variety that the speaker bought. So half of the information was correct. The fact that speaker actually bought fruit is correct, but however, the speaker did not buy a variety of fruits, rather just restricted himself or herself to buy only apples. So this is half partially incorrect of sorry, partially correct information. And this will also come as a form of distractor. You might get confused. Okay, in the question it said that the speaker is going to buy a lot of fruits, but the option is like just apple. So is it correct or not correct? And the only way to find out is that you are paying attention to the audio. So that's another kind of distractor. Now, what else? Okay, coming to the next one. Wait a second. Yes, this one. There's another question as an example for you to have an idea of what is a partially correct distractor. So, what was the name of the band that performed at the concert? So then there will be there's going to be multiple choice questions related to it, and then the conversation would be like, I went to the concert last night, it was amazing. Oh really, who was performing? It was a rock band from Australia, but I cannot remember their name. They had a really catchy song that everyone was singing along to. What was the band called? Is it Firestorm? No, it's not. The name had to do something with animals, I think. Maybe it was Wildfire. Yes, it was Wildfire. So see, from the answer to be as firestorm, the actually answer became wildfire. So if right now, because we are looking at the question, it's easy for us to decipher whether what is the correct answer. But imagine this being a conversation, and if you're not paying attention, you're gonna definitely get confused between wildfire and firestorm, and that's the reason why when you are reading the question, make sure you have made it a point to, let's say, highlight the main, let's say, main what I'm trying to say is the keyword of the question. For example, here the keyword is name of the band that performed at the concert. So there's going to be a name of this particular band that you have to really listen for. And if they are getting you confused between Firestorm and Wildfire, remember the correct answer will be announced. It's just that you have to be vigilant enough to catch it. Okay, now we have. Hi, Hashmat. Did you join late? Walaikum Assalam. How are you? Okay. So this is again another kind of distractor. And if you're not listening to, let's say, if you're not listening to the audio properly, it's going to be very difficult for you to catch it and to also find out what is the actual answer. Um, it's a very high chance if it is a distractor, they are going to have a little argument over it. For example, and if not even an argument, they're going to have a confusion, or there's going to be some, how do I say, it's going to be a little source of constant conversation around the topic if it is a distractor. For example, let's say Hashmat and I, we are talking about when is she going to file her exam date. So Hashmat says initially I was planning. I would say Hashmat, or I would tell Hashmat, I think you're going to go give the exam on the 2nd October. So she's going to say, yeah, initially I was, but now after reconsideration, I am going to give the exam on 5th of October. And then I'm going to say, oh, I thought it was 2nd. And she would say, now the plan has changed. So remember, even if there is some kind of a conversation about the topic, I am, or she is, or the other person is going to give you the actual answer. It's just that you have to listen to it very vigilantly. So that is another kind of distractor where you have half correct information and half incorrect. Here, okay, okay. And also see the incorrect information over here is it had to do something with the animals. But wildfire has nothing to do with animals, right? So again, it is a kind of a distractor that you will have to look out for. Okay, now coming to the next one, just give me a second. All right. There are certain things in which, by practicing which, you can actually avoid the distractors. The first thing is practice active listening. The best way to practice active listening is you can play, let's say, you can play a video on YouTube, and without looking at the video, try to listen to what they are saying. Okay, and try to actively listen to what was the conversation about. And if you are, let's say, very dedicated, write down once you're done with the small part. It can be like a 10-minute podcast. But once you've just listened to everything, write down the key highlights of what you think was about the podcast. Or if you want, whatever, let's say for some people, crime documentary is something that they really like to watch. For some people, it's comedy that they really like to watch. For some people, it's inspirational conversations that they really enjoy. So whatever is your niche, you will have to watch a video similar on the topic. And once you have listened to the topic, just try to write down what were the key points of that conversation. It will help you in practicing active listening. And the next is when you predict the answer. Sometimes the question is going to tell you that this is going to be the source of the answer, especially if it is a factual based question. For example, name, number, street name, or let's say when we talk about years or the number of children, these are some factual answers that will not change. So you can always predict that, this is going to be an answer. It's going to be a number. So if you're going to predict the answer, and if, of course, if it is possible for you to predict the answer, you will not get distracted easily. The next is stay calm and focus. This is especially important because sometimes you will listen to the audio, but you will find that even if you're listening to the audio, the answer has not been announced. So again, this is again a trick by the IELTS people. I don't know how to say it. This is the trick of the exam, that they want to see how well and put together you are. So let's say if within a minute you're not getting the answer, chances are if you have not really missed the answer is going to come pretty swiftly, because the maximum they're going to make you wait is 40 seconds, not more than that, because again, within 30 seconds, within 30 minutes, they have to give you the answer of all 40 questions. So make sure if read. Also, there's one thing that I wanted to tell you. Just don't restrict yourself to one question. Always read two questions together, so that if by chance you have missed out on first question, you know what is the source of the second one, and you quickly realign yourself. Because what happens is, students, what they do is, I'm going to read the first question, and then as soon as I find the answer, I'm going to read the next one. This is completely this is a false way to actually answer, because what if you get two answers simultaneously or respectively or very close to each other? Then you will not have the time to read the question. And for people who are going for pen and paper, make sure you are using marking, like you're marking on the keywords, you're marking on the terms that you fill, that you find will be in the question and the answer, because again, it will help you with the realignment. So these are certain things that you can do. What else? Huh. Be aware of common distractors. You know that distractors will come in the form of some information that sounds pretty correct, or some. I think Harpinder, you want to say something? I thought you unmuted yourself. Okay. All right. So you already know that the distractor will come in different forms. The first is in the form of incorrect information or similar sounding words or information that seems pretty relevant, and half of it is actually true, but half of it is going to be incorrect. So whenever you see that the conversation, amidst the conversation, the speakers have started debating about the answer, the answer is and the chances are that this is going to be a distractor and the answer will change. And also look out for how confident is the speaker while giving the answer. If you can sense it already that the sound of the answer sounds very confusing, the chances are again very high that the answer is going to change. The next is listen for synonyms and paraphrases. Unfortunately, throughout the test, there's going to be plethora of synonyms and paraphrasing used. So you will have to make use of, and you will also have to make yourself familiar with the fact that there's going to be a lot of synonyms, and train yourself into recognizing these kinds of synonyms. Although it's not going to be a very bang on synonym, sometimes it's going to be paraphrased in such a way that it's going to be easier for the listener to understand that this is a synonym or this information has been paraphrased. But just make sure that you are aware of the fact that the word, like, they are not going to give you the verbatim words from the question. Okay. And I think till now, if you have any question, please do ask anything that you would want to ask so far. Anything which is not resonating with you all. Yeah, I think everything is clear, so we can move forward. The next is use time wisely. Why? Because the test is going to be only for 30 minutes. So if you are, let's say you did not get an answer for a particular question. Now you are sitting there very concentrated on that, finding out that answer, to think about the answer. Of course, in that way, you're missing out all the rest of the answers, which will not be repeated. So make sure if you have missed out on one answer, it's okay. There's no negative marking. You can either make a guess at the end of the test, or maybe if you want to make a guess and move on, that's something that you can do. Or just let that question be and you move and realign yourself to the rest of the questions. Because if you follow if you don't really follow this method and you sit there thinking about that particular one answer, you will miss out on the rest of the answers. And if I can tell you, if you miss out on two answers, for you to realign yourself, it's going to be extremely difficult, almost next to impossible. And then 10 set of questions just for one question that you could not find the answer for, you're going to miss them. So if you have not been able to get the answer of that one particular question, move on. So, and you have to use your time wisely and use it in such a way, like before every part is going to begin, the audio is going to tell you that, you have 10 questions and you have some instructions to read, make yourself familiar with all of that, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to listen to the audio for all of this. You already know that if there is instructions, you have to read the instruction. If there are questions, you have to make yourself familiar with those questions. तो ऑडियो का वेट मत करो कि वो आपको ये सब बताए, आप पहले ही वो सब पढ़ लेना. और जब ऑडियो आपसे बोल रही है कि 1 से 5 पढ़ो, तो आप 1 से 10 अगर आपकी पॉसिबिलिटी है तो पढ़ लेना. और इवन इफ इट इज पॉसिबल फॉर यू टू मूव टू द नेक्स्ट सेक्शन, वो भी आप कर लेना. इससे आपके लिए इजी हो जाएगा. एंड ऑल्सो बीच बीच में भी जब बाइफर्केशन होता है, ओनली द 4th पार्ट ऑफ द लिसनिंग सेक्शन, उसमें 1 से 10 क्वेश्चन आपको सब कुछ एक बार में आंसर करना होता है. वरना फॉर फर्स्ट पार्ट, सेकंड पार्ट एंड थर्ड पार्ट बाइफर्केशन होता है कि 1 से 6 या 1 से 4 तक आपको पढ़ना होता है, फिर थोड़ा टाइम मिलता है नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पढ़ने का. बट वॉट यू हैव टू डू इज, जब भी आपको टाइम मिले, कोशिश करना वो सारे क्वेश्चन पढ़ के आगे भी क्वेश्चन पढ़ लो जितने भी अवेलेबल है वहां पे, so that you have some time to like mark the keywords, you have some time to think for the answers. So this is something that you have to do. Now coming to the next one. Okay, check for your answers. See, once you are done with each of the section, it's very important for you to check the answer, because if you will not review the answer, chances are कि आपने थोड़े बहुत कोई grammatical error, like grammatical mistake बना दी हो, या फिर कोई पंक्चुएशन की गलती हो जाए, या कोई स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक है, which is something that you can actually look out for and change. So if you will not review your answers, it's going to be again a very frivolous mistake that you make. And apart from that, in the listening section, आप सब कुछ capital letters में लिख सकते हैं. और मैं actually आपको I'm going to request you to write everything in capital letters, because अगर आप जो पंक्चुएशन है वो फॉलो करोगे तो कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि कोई नाम है, आपने स्पेलिंग का फर्स्ट लेटर नहीं लिखा कैपिटल में, तो वो इनकरेक्ट हो जाएगी. सो इन द लिसनिंग सेक्शन, व्हेन देयर इज एन ऑप्शन, मेक श्योर दैट यू आर राइटिंग एवरीथिंग इन कैपिटल लेटर्स एंड सेविंग योरसेल्फ फ्रॉम द हैसल ऑफ पंक्चुएशन. द नेक्स्ट इज, don't assume the first thing that you hear as the answer as your actual answer. Yes, sometimes it's going to come very directly and you would know this is the answer, क्योंकि वो मैच करेगा एकदम एग्जैक्ट क्वेश्चन से, जैसे फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स होता है. बट अगर आपको मल्टीपल चॉइस ऑफ क्वेश्चंस मिल रहा है, तो चांसेस आर प्रिटी प्लॉजिबल के there's going to be a lot of distractors that will be used here. तो उसमें अगर आप देख रहे हो कि tone of the question is such that it does not scream assurance, or when you feel that maybe the answer might change, तो उसमें आप थोड़े vigilant और रहना, because chances are again very high that the answer is going to change. और कुछ ऐसे keywords होते हैं जैसे कि no हो गया, sorry हो गया, however हो गया, initially और but हो गया, nonetheless हो गया, having said that हो गया. ये अगर कोई भी सेंटेंस में ये वर्ड्स आ रहे हैं, आंसर पक्का चेंज होगा. एंड यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट यू डू नॉट मार्क द अर्लियर आंसर एज द करेक्ट वन. एंड sometimes you will not understand the particular word of what the speaker has said, maybe because you don't know that vocabulary. अब उसको लेकर के बैठ मत जाना. Try to understand the overall context of the answer. So if there's a word that you could not really fathom, move and try to understand the overall context of the answer. It will actually make your answers pretty clearer. Okay, now coming to the next one. Okay, there are certain ways in which distractors are asked. वो जो ways होते हैं वो होता है कि if there is a phone number, you might get confused, जैसे कि Z और 0 के बीच में. H, we say H. A lot of times people say H. So you need to know that H कौन है. O and 0 के बीच में. और क्या है? Digits का मतलब numbers होता है. So if you hear certain words, you might get confused. So you need to familiarize yourself. The next is house numbers, क्योंकि वहाँ पे again numbers का use होता है, तो 13 बोल रहा है तो आप 30 लिख दोगे. This is another kind of distractor that you have to pay close attention to. Zip codes, maybe again, because there's like wherever there's like piece of information in the form of numbers, chances are that you will get confused, but the answer will be repeated in these kinds of situations. अगर कोई name है तो भी अगर नाम का स्पेलिंग है तो मोस्टली जो है वो रिपीट होती है, तो यू विल अगर पहली बार में आपने मिस आउट कर दिया तो जस्ट कीप ऑन लिसनिंग, बिकॉज अगर नेम है या नंबर है तो it is going to be repeated, and if you missed it once it's fine, you can actually realign yourself. The next is, if the distractor could be in this form also, what type of cuisine does the new restaurant serve? So the conversation is like, did you hear about the new restaurant that opened downtown? No, what's it called? It's called the Greenhouse, and they serve Italian cuisine. That sounds interesting. I'll have to check it out. Now, क्विजीन जो है वो इटालियन है और जो नाम है वो ग्रीन हाउस है, तो डू नॉट गेट कंफ्यूज बिटवीन द टू के क्विजीन जो है वो ग्रीन हाउस है और जो नाम है वो इटालियन क्विजीन है. So again, mixing two kinds of information is very easy in the listening section because you cannot really see the conversation happening and you just have to imagine. So it's very important that you are paying very close attention to what is being said. And the next is, let's say if it is a postcode, तो जैसे ऐसे questions होते हैं, where do you live, Bella? Unit 11, Maximilian Way, is that in Whitfield? Right, I have a cousin who stays in TK, yes. And so it's like unit 11, right? So, and the postcode is 66 or 33. You've got the wrong way. It's 3366. See, now the information here also, it's again a distractor here, is the postcode 66 and 33. It's actually the opposite. So if you've written 66 and 33, पहले ये तो देखो कि वो क्वेश्चन है या वो स्टेटमेंट है. इफ इट इज अ क्वेश्चन, चांसेस आर कि करेक्ट आंसर बाद में आएगा, and you don't really have to listen to the first answer and make it as your final answer. So again, that's another thing that you have to see. The other one here again is an example of a distractor. What supplies does speaker one need for their art project? I need to buy some supplies for my art project. What kind of supplies are you looking for? See, there are so many things that it's mainly paints and brushes, but also need some canvas. तो तीनों को वो एक बार भी बोल सकता था, but he chose to add this extra information. Now there are three things that the person is looking for, not only the paint and the brushes, he's also looking for canvas. So if there is an option of these three, you will have to see and mark it as the correct answer. Again, sunne mein maybe you make error, but if you're listening actively, that will not happen. The next is, what is Max struggling with? The conversation goes like, I can't believe that how hard it is today. And Linda says that, I know it's unbearable. Have you finished your assignment for English class? No, not yet. I'm struggling with the last question. Okay. So Max is actually struggling with last question. So you will have this option there in the question. Make sure that you write down as the correct one. And see, if it is a statement, तो most probably answer वही होता है. पर अगर आप देख रहे हो कि वो क्वेश्चन की तरीके से है और the person is actually portraying it as a question, then the chances are the answer is going to be incorrect and there's going to be the correct answer. And here is another example. So the room number, there's going to be confusion between the room number. पहले उसने बोल दिया room B569, and actually the correct answer is B659. पर उससे पहले, if you see, the person has said no, sorry. So again, if it is going to be a distractor, तो आपको वो indicate हो जाएगा with some words, and you just have to make sure that you are listening to it very carefully. And apart from that, see, if it is going to be a distractor, it is the main idea of the distractor is to actually confuse the test taker. So you don't have to get confused. Listen to the audio pretty nicely and make sure that you are actually understanding the context of it, कि ये correct answer है या फिर ये confusing statement है, and accordingly you will have to mark it. So this was all about the distractors of the listening section. If you have any question or any doubt, you can ask now. Anything that you did not understand? Is everything clear? Okay, if everything is clear, then we also have Raza sir with us. Sir, I think you can take your 2 cents in.
Great. Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing very well. Thank you very much, Azra. That was a very wonderful session. And as I can see, there are a lot of people are here. The audience are here who are joining us on daily basis. So I really appreciate them. And thank you very much, guys, for joining this wonderful session. And more or less, just want to know if anyone have any kind of query related to today's session or any session held in the previous last few days, something like that. If anyone have, just let us know. Um, okay, so as we come to the end of today's session on strategies to improving listening skills, so let's take a moment to wrap things very powerfully. So there are few recap about the key learning, guys, as per the session, right? We have to focus and show attention towards the listening task. Okay, we have to predict and anticipate. This is very essential thing, one of the essential thing for the IELTS. And note taking, yes, you just need to note down the numbers, names, and main ideas. Not every word, just what matters in the listening task. Practice with the real material. So the podcast, new clips, English movies with subtitles are your best friends. So guys who are not sure to join IELTS classes, they can go with these kind of things. They can add on in these things in the listening section. And the main part is you have to be stay calm under pressure, because I can understand that there are a lot of people who are preparing for the IELTS, or we can call them IELTS aspirants. They are under pressure. So you don't have to panic. So if you miss one answer, keep listening and the next one is coming. Okay, so don't stop. So these strategies, basically, guys, will sharpen your ears and help you to catch the details more naturally. Okay, and yeah. So here's the best part, which I want to discuss. It's about the real life application. Okay, so these, skills aren't just for the IELTS test. Try them in your daily life. Okay, because guys, you're moving to the new world, new countries, and mostly the countries are English native. So you have to be, in English environment. So you need to listen to the podcast, while communicating and summarize what you heard. You need to watch a short YouTube video and you can write down the, some key points without pausing. Okay. So these are very, basic things you need to add on. Okay. So before we wrap up, guys, I will love to hear if anyone have any kind of query or concerns. They can, type in the Zoom chat or in the comment section, and I'm happy to answer. And yes, two more important things that what was your biggest takeaways from today's session? Yes, I want to know. That will be a feedback for us. And which of the strategies are you going to start practicing first? So if you let us know these things, guys, it will be really helpful for us as well. And we can make, these sessions more fruitful for you. Okay. And finally, guys, remember one thing, that listening is the foundation of good communication. Okay, the more you listen, the better you understand, and the better you respond, the better you connect with the world. So keep practicing. Okay, keep challenging yourself, and with the different accents, topics, and watch your confidence grow week by week. Okay, it's a time-taking process, but I'm sure you guys are already preparing for IELTS. You will, going to nail it. So, guys, again, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next session, and we'll go deeper into the other IELTS modules and keep building your skills step by step. Okay, guys. So keep listening, and I'll see you next time. So, Azra, you would like to add something, or shall we wrap up now? Okay, might be she will be occupied somewhere. So, yes, guys, any query, any concerns, any questions? If yes, let us know. else we're going to wrap up this session. Okay, so okay, guys, I will take it as you guys aware of all the things. Okay, so catch you soon. Catch you in the next session. Thank you very much,
Thank you so
and
much,
have
sir.
a great day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, we have someone here, Ravi Kumar. Yeah,
Yes.
Ravi.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It's a nice guidance, actually.
All right, you want to ask something, Ravi?
No, I don't want to
Okay,
ask
great.
something. All
Thank you
clear.
so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you, everyone, guys. Take care.